Now to our other top story. Claims of excessive force are detailed in a new lawsuit filed against the Visalia Police Department. A woman says she called law enforcement for help with her son, who was going through a schizophrenic episode, and it ended with him being bitten by a police canine. Action News reporter Jessica Harrington joins us from the newsroom now with cell phone video of that incident, plus the changes the mother is demanding and the police department's response. Jessica?
The attorney representing the Visalia mother and son says force by officers should only be used when it's warranted. In this case, he says it wasn't and that they have the video evidence to prove it.
I felt hopeless because I couldn't do anything for him, but just stand there and watch him get bit by a dog.
Yahida Keys, surrounded by family and friends, explained why she filed an excessive force and civil rights lawsuit against the Visalia Police Department, the police chief, a lieutenant, and 3 officers. It was October 20th, 2020, when Keys says she called police to take her 21-year-old son, Jordan Gutierrez, to the hospital. She says she told the dispatcher he was unarmed and that he's been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and was having an episode. She says she had made 3 similar calls to police for help before this incident.
They would come out, they wouldn't even cuff him, they were get him in the police car, he'd get in, they'd escort him to the hospital.
But this time, she says the first officer arrived, taser in hand, claiming it was for his own protection. A second officer arrives, and Officer Keys says she recognized from one of her previous calls.
I'm the one that called you guys. I've dealt with you before.
Please get back, please.
A third officer then arrived with his canine. According to the lawsuit, 2 officers held Gutierrez's arms behind his back as the canine officer commanded his dog to bite Gutierrez. Gutierrez was bit on his face and neck. The attorney representing Keys and Gutierrez claims the officers used excessive force and violated Gutierrez's civil rights.
It was unnecessary. It was unreasonable. For police officers to use that type of force, they need to be facing some type of violent threat. And there was none that day.
Gutierrez was arrested for resisting an officer. His criminal case is still ongoing. A Visalia Police Department spokesperson said they were unable to comment about the incident because the criminal case is ongoing and because of the new pending litigation. But in general, they said officers undergo 40 hours of crisis intervention training put on by Tulare County Mental Health Partners. The spokesperson would not say if the officers named in the lawsuit had undergone the training, calling it a personnel matter. Keys filed a formal complaint with the department days after the bite, but her attorney says her complaint was dismissed and instead she was charged with obstructing officers at the scene. DeSimone says Keys completed community service for it. The lawsuit seeks damages for the mental and physical injuries Gutierrez sustained, the emotional distress Keys has endured, and is requesting more training for Visalia police officers.
We're asking for the city of Visalia, for its police agency, to investigate these officers and take appropriate corrective action.
This is the second lawsuit filed against the Visalia Police Department this year, alleging excessive force with a canine against an individual who is mentally ill. The attorney says he has submitted evidence in this case and the previous case to the state attorney general's office, asking for an investigation into the Visalia Police Department and their use of police canines. In the newsroom, Jessica Harrington, ABC 30 Action News.